disgusting.
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the Real Zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another conversation with Trent and friends. Featuring the lovely Coach D. Shan's not with us tonight. She's under the weather. She'll be back next week. But we have a special guest. You guys have to wait until I bring the ladies in. But we're talking about accountability. Let's talk about the A word. We actually ran a poll. Shan and I did a couple of weeks ago talking about accountability. And there's another topic that escapes me. But you guys, 70% of you guys said you wanted a gumbo talk on accountability. So here we go. So let's bring Coach D in. Hope you guys are doing well. I see you guys over there on Instagram. Really appreciate you guys. YouTube, Taylor Kennedy TV, all that good stuff. We truly appreciate the support. Let's bring the lady in. Hey. What's going on with you? How you doing?
Not much. I was busy this weekend. Couldn't have an accountability podcast without making sure my stuff was uploaded to Shopify. So,
Pressure.
Yeah.
Shan's under the weather tonight, so she'll be back next week. But we got a special guest for him. We got a special guest talking about accountability, right? We talk about accountability. First we have to be accountable to ourselves, and we have to actually accept and acknowledge the toxic we bring to our own party. I did that many moons ago. Once I founded the conversation. The conversation was based off my get around days and whatnot, in the singing group and run around the country, around abroad as Romello. And I had to actually take responsibility for the toxic I was bringing to these women's lives. So that was the only way the conversation became successful, by being very transparent and being open about the things I did in those relationships. So, so accountability, man, it goes a long way. Goes a long way. You got to accept the shit. You got to accept your shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're not doing anything unless you're working toward making amends and fixing things. If you're not going to fix it, move away from it and be honest about it. So we're going to talk about accountability and more than sure. Our resident coach, our trauma coach, Coach D, has a plethora of things that she's come along with. So let's talk about it. So how you doing? How you doing today?
I'm good. Busy. And I printed off notes this time so I can stay focused.
Is that right?
Well, we got accountability is tricky because accountability, there's a fine line between accountability and self-blame.
That's right.
We got to make sure people know what accountability looks like and what self-blame looks like. So I made some lists. So I have those ready.
Well, before we get into it, we're going to introduce our special guest. Called her up. I've been knowing this young lady, man, for at least 15 years. She has 25. First of all, she's an educator, and she has about 25 years in television and terrestrial radio. And that's where I met her on her radio station, where I was interviewed by one of her jocks for one of my projects. I can't remember which one, but over in North Carolina. So real good stuff. We got the wonderful educator, Kennedie, coming through and to, add her spice to the gumbo pot in Shan's absence. So she's a little under the weather. She'll be back this coming week. So good stuff. Let's bring Kennedie in and get this thing going. What's going on, lady?
Hello. How are you guys?
Hey, Miss Kathy.
Hi, Coach D. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Coach Z's not familiar with you, but she's seen you in the comments from time to time. So it's good stuff, man. Hey, man, appreciate you coming through, man. Like I was telling the folks about your 25 years in television and broadcasting. Tell the folks about yourself.
Well, hi, my name is Kennedie D. I go by my last name, just, the initial when I'm on air. But yes, I have 25 years in broadcasting. So started out in cable many moons ago. And then went over into radio. So most of my stint has been in radio. I love it, as well as television. And now I am in my new phase of life, which is educating our young ones. So I am a school teacher here in North Carolina. I teach 7th grade ELA, and they're excited to know that their teacher still has a love of radio. So every now and then I go in to the classroom with my radio voice, and it just freaks them out.
So is it safe to say you knew Romello from the heyday? That's what you're saying?
From the heyday, yes, I did.
Good stuff, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. Really appreciate it. So, Coach D, accountability. Let's talk about it.
All right. So here's the thing: accountability is an action, right? So I have a definition for you. It's a vital characteristic that can make a positive difference in our personal, professional lives. It's a willingness to take responsibility of one's words, actions, and outcomes. By actively embracing accountability, we empower ourselves to make meaningful changes, build trust, and achieve personal growth. So symptoms of avoiding accountability are blaming others, excuses and denial, procrastination, lack of goal setting, and resisting feedback. But what accountability does look like is taking responsibility for one's actions, choices, and outcomes, focus on learning from mistakes and making improvements, promotes personal growth, encourages problem solving, goal setting, and proactive behavior, acknowledges external factors and other people's roles in certain situations without blaming the other person for your actions.
Good stuff.
Maintain self-belief.
Let me get one moment. Not before we get caught up. Get a message here. Tonight's sponsor, Black Lightning Trucking. Really appreciate the sponsorship for tonight's podcast. BlackLightningTrucking.com is a spot for all your logistical needs. Truly appreciate the sponsorship. Contact us at BlackLightningTrucking.com. Just email and we'll get those freight out to you. So good stuff, man. BlackLightningTrucking.com is the sponsor for tonight's show. Good stuff. Let's get to the comments real quick. I see these guys here.
So we have Alvin has joined us. Good evening, Alvin. Brenda's in.
How's Al?
Everybody's just saying good evening. Hi, Martine.
Hey, Brenda.
She says self-blame. And then we have somebody's name I did see before, Keena Catchings. And she says,
yeah,
awesome.
Keena Catchings. Actually, another educator. Good stuff. Hey, Miss Lady, how you doing?
I love my teachers. They don't get paid enough.
No.
Exactly.
We don't get paid enough because women's work is always undervalued. So,
yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Go down
that road. That's another show.
Hey, my favorite Detroiter. And I see Brenda from Memphis. Good stuff, man. I see you, Al Sal. Good stuff. So, yeah, man. So we talk about accountability. And I have to be honest with you, man. For me, it was very difficult for me. Sometimes it still is. Even I'm stubborn as a mule, very stubborn. So sometimes I had a situation recently where I didn't take accountability for the stuff that I did. And I got called out on it. I was like, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I took responsibility for it. I took responsibility for the toxins I brought to the party. This is it. But the reason why the conversation has been successful all those years before even this took place with the paralyzation, I took responsibility for all that. Toxins I brought to the party, I took responsibility for it, wrote a ton of books about it. That's why I would fill these places up around the country, even Jamaica, the Bahamas, because I was speaking my truth. I took my responsibility. I took accountability for every action I took. And I think it's very important that we do that. Coach D?
Because there's 8 steps to accountability, right? So you got to climb the ladder. So first you're in denial, then you're in blame, you make excuses, then you hope, then you start doing the work. So then you acknowledge reality, you own it, you find the solution and make it happen.
Absolutely.
So what accountability is not is a change in saying I own it and then don't change the behavior. That's manipulation.
Right.
Exactly. We got a comment coming through.
Keena says accountability is an action where we must own it. Yep, I agree fully. And we don't blame others for your actions. Like you'll hear a lot of people go, well, I wouldn't have done this if you hadn't done that. That's not accountability.
That's not accountability. That's
not at all.
Not at all. But here's the thing, what I learned over the years, right? Once I acquired the tools, and I'm placing all my stuff on the table, some people can't handle that. Because they say, well, Trent, you hurt me. Yeah, I know I did. But let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I did what I did. And when I noticed, like when I started to take accountability, and the toxic that I'm bringing to the party, a ton of people cannot handle that. Why is that, Coach D?
Accountability and boundaries will let you find out quick who your real friends are.
Right.
Quick. Right? Because
Exactly.
as soon as you start saying, no, I'm not going to do this, and you hold yourself accountable and other people accountable,
Right.
people will drop off. And you got to get used to that, because not everybody should be in your circle.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me all I have to do is tell these folks and they're just going to drop off?
So they will eventually, yeah, because you keep saying no. That's like people who say she needs to bring me peace. I can guarantee you, anybody who says she needs to bring me peace brings nothing but chaos. Because if you're peaceful, you don't have to say it.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That is true.
It's like we got Martine coming through.
Martine says, I used to blame myself for things I didn't know, for making poor choices. Yeah, so that's the other part of accountability is some people get caught in the victim mindset and start self-blaming, and then they get into a big pity party, right?
Exactly.
So we have to be careful not to self-blame, because it's destructive.
Exactly.
Right? And it, like, we could sit here all day and pull out the bad stuff about each other and ourselves. It's a lot harder to do that with the positive things. So accountability, we want to stay on the top of the ladder where it's acknowledge reality versus underneath where you're making excuses and you're blaming and you're denying.
I give an example, right? With the chapter to Delta. I won't call her name, but everybody know who it is. But with the chapter to Delta, I was doing this. I was so hurt. Actually, D, you walked me through that. You was with me when I was making that transition from my divorce over in Michigan and Canada. So I'm pointing the finger. So D looking at me like, well, what did you do? What was your part? How did she get to that point? And I had to start taking responsibility and holding up that mirror. And holding that mirror, I say, you know what? The reason why she's that way is because this is what I made. I created that monster. But I had to take responsibility for the toxic I allowed into the party and have a seat.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah. Taking responsibility for your own actions is huge.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is huge. And it's not always easy, because sometimes you have to admit, you know what? Like in my last marriage, you know what? Sometimes I was very standoffish and didn't communicate.
I held that pain for 8 years. 8 years, because I was still doing this.
Oh yeah, I remember the look you gave me when I asked you, why aren't you looking at you?
Exactly. Hey, G, hold on a second. Put all my bins out the street now.
Listen, sir.
But life is so much rewarding when you start doing this.
Yeah.
Like, well, hey, what did I do to cause this? There's always a cause and effect. Effect and a cause. Always. Kathy?
It is. As you all were talking, and some of the things that I teach in my classroom, because accountability does not mean that you need to pay attention to it at an older age. I'm teaching accountability to 12, 13, and 14 years old. And, and at that age, it's easy to blame someone. But when they're speaking with me, I always ask them to ask themselves, what role do I play? What role do I play? Because it's not always the other person's fault. And I hold myself accountable as well. I remember in my second marriage, we weren't communicating at all in that marriage. I mean, we didn't know how to communicate. And that was the thing. We would blame one another for things that we should have taken accountability for ourselves. So with that said, accountability simply means building trust and understanding one another and being able to communicate and not play the blame game, so to speak. So this is an interesting conversation. So from a young person's standpoint, understand what you did and understand the role. because whatever the outcome was, it was predicted within the time of you not taking accountability. And then as an older person, the same thing. Whatever happened, you need to ask yourself that same question. So this is interesting. I like this
But
conversation.
you know what I find, man, when we're not asking what happened, authentically asking, because not just asking that person that you offended or vice versa,
Mhm.
everything starts here.
Yeah.
Damn, what did I do in this? What that? Why did I get that reaction? What did I do? And actually, like I said, Coach D, when she was actually girlfriend, Coach D, she made me pick that mirror up, man. She was like, "Yo, yeah, we good, but what did you do in that situation?"
Mhm.
And, and this is before I acquired the tools. And I'm looking at her like, "Damn, who team you on? Who team you on?" Because I was still in that Romello phase. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe she did this to me type phase, not me. So she was like, "Well, who are you? I mean, what did you do? What role did you play?" So I started those steps into another situation. Coach D, are you there, Coach D?
Listen, so it's so easy to blame others. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Hello?
now.
Can
Yeah, I
you hear me?
got you.
Okay, sorry. I think I have a delay. There's a storm outside. Yeah, so here's the thing. It's really hard to take responsibility and look in the mirror. It's really easy to blame others.
Mhm.
It's really easy to say, "Well, I wouldn't have done this if they hadn't said this. I would have said this." Like, you know what? I have a 10-year-old, and we just had a conversation today that it takes 40 seconds for what I say to compute, right?
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
I told him something to do something, and he didn't do it. He's like, "Oh, 40 seconds." And he stopped, and then he did what he had to do because
Right.
he realized that he wasn't listening to what I was saying. He was only listening part of it because he's like, "I'll go do it right away, get it done, and she'll leave me alone." But
Exactly.
once he stopped and we had that conversation, then he was able to be responsible for what he had to do. And it's God love you for working with middle schoolers because they are challenging as heck. My goodness,
Yes.
they're in that stage where they're testing boundaries and they're becoming their own people with their own opinions. Love them.
Mhm.
I I would not teach them for every
Exactly.
dollar there is in the world. There's a special person that
Yes,
takes
yes.
that. So
We got
here's the
Marcus
thing.
dropped through. We have Marcus dropped. Let's catch these comments real quick. We'll get back
Okay,
up.
yep. So
Start
Frank says,
screen.
tell the kids that are a mentor, look in the mirror for 30 seconds. If you can't do it, then you need to change things about yourself. Yep. And look yourself in
Mhm.
the eye in the mirror. Not
Right.
just look in the mirror, because you can look in the mirror and not see yourself.
That's right.
Mhm.
Martina agrees, right, Marcus? You got to be able to look yourself in the eyes. And then Marcus says, my life also got better when I stopped expecting accountability from people I know weren't going to give it to me.
Boom.
Sir,
Boom.
that is the lesson of the day.
Mhm.
Boom.
And 19 says, right, you have to move on from people who obviously don't care about you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I say it all the time, not all people are your people.
That's
Right?
right.
Mhm.
That person may not be your person. If somebody is not able to take accountability for their actions and be responsible, then you need to look elsewhere or move elsewhere.
Through my process, I learned that once I made amends with myself,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to make amends with Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
Once I cleared up things with myself,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I started working on me. I was able to take accountability for the toxic I allowed into the party and the toxics I sent out to the party.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to make amends with myself first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's easier when you do the work. Trent, you and I always talk about that. When you do the work and being able to go back, if you're able to have that conversation with that individual. I mean,
Absolutely.
in our cases, our ex-spouses at the time.
Right.
Um, I remember we had a conversation like 3 years after our divorce. And that's when he and I were able to say what went wrong in the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't able to, we weren't in the mindset of blaming. So being honest with yourself as you're doing the work, Coach D, I think is a great place to start.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to journal a lot. I used to journal down everything that happened, everything that I could remember saying and
Right.
how I felt, because I knew that that conversation was going to take place sometime in the future. And it did. And it helped me a great deal. So just being honest with yourself and knowing, again, the role you play and the role that you're playing now.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm looking at tonight's sponsor, Black Lightning Truck and NOLA. And about 4 years ago, we had a tumultuous relationship. Now, Black Lightning Trucking is owned by my brother. And yeah, but anyway, so it's owned by my brother, who's actually sponsoring tonight's show. But we had a very tumultuous relationship in 4 years because we had some tragedies back to back. You know how debt does and whatnot. And once I accepted the role that I played in that relationship after the passing of my mother and my brother, and he did the same thing, acknowledged the role he played in that, I run Black Lightning Trucking along with him. Everything is on smooth sailing. So when we actually, that triggered me real quick. I just wanted to share with the folks to let you know that this is a very transparent show. So once I accepted the role, once he accepted the role he played in it, it's been hitting on all cylinders at this point. He's tonight's sponsor. Appreciate that, brother. Well, go ahead. Am I delaying or what? What's going on?
No, I have a delay. It's me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
Your
let's get back to the comments. So Marcus says, my life also got better when I stopped expecting accountability from people I know weren't going to give it to me.
Yeah.
Right. You have to move on from people who obviously don't care about you. The hardest thing is that the main person that won't give it to me is a parent. Listen, I will tell you till the cows come home, the worst people for accountability are parents to children who follow traditional parenting.
That's true.
Because there's no accountability. It's all about control. If you have somebody who's conscious parenting, it's all about accountability.
Right.
Because it's accountability, compassion, empathy, communication. That's conscious parenting. Traditional parenting, it's all about control. Taking doors off because somebody slammed a door.
Right.
So now you no longer have privacy, and they understand that their boundaries will never be respected.
Absolutely. I see you on Instagram, Georgia Girl, and I can't read the last comment, but I see you as well. I think the last hashtag is passion. Appreciate you guys on Instagram.
I'll pull it up and see if I can take it. But yeah, I tell people when it comes to accountability, if your parents are old school, traditional parents, don't expect it from them. It's never going to happen.
Exactly. Keena says, one sec.
Sometimes we have to be able to foster a culture of accountability. I think at these times people really don't know. So encouraging and promoting it is a sure way to better outcomes with relationships, etc.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Like a good example of accountability is people sharing social media posts. I did some research, and like 86% of people don't do any research for the posts that they're sharing. That's true. Where you get a lot of nonsense. Yeah. And you're like, well, I thought they were smarter than that. I'm like, no, they didn't look anything up. And then you get the title readers of articles, and I know as a teacher that probably drives you crazy. They don't read the article; they just read the title, make a whole comment on the title. And I'm like, the article.
I call it those 20-second clicks. Like, look, sounds good. Click. Let me share this real quick. I know saying something real crazy, but you didn't read through the article.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
No.
Accountability is like
I'm so it's a stickler for me because I don't share a ton of quotes and stuff like that because I want to know who the author is. I want to know who exactly wrote that. So anytime you guys will see my quotes, you'll see my tag on it. They steal them all the time and they crop my name. I laugh a ton of times. Then they got like 60,000 views, and I'm like, that's my shit. What are you talking about? But
and they don't really have to do that because Instagram and them let you share content, so you can share somebody else's stuff.
Exactly. But You know,
Sounds
so
good.
I laugh at it. I always want to know who's the author behind this and where is it coming from.
Mhm.
I don't like articles. I won't share it until I read it.
Mhm.
What's up?
Because you can get messed up with some weird people. You start sharing stuff that you
Absolutely.
don't research.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But you know, I get a kick at social media because people are like, I don't want this contact on my page. Well, stop commenting on it.
Exactly.
The more you comment on it, the more you're going to see it. I'm like, it's an algorithm. It's going to show you what you want. That's why TikTok shows you who people really are. You want to know who somebody is? Ask for their TikTok and look at their For You page. It'll show you exactly what they watch.
Let's talk about how do you walk to and get to the steps of taking responsibility for the toxic you bring to your own party. Let's talk about that.
Well, do you want to walk up the ladder with me?
Go ahead.
So, ladder has 8 steps. So, the first step in the ladder, that you're aware that there's a problem, but you choose to ignore it. That's denial.
Yes.
Right.
You move up to the second ladder, is blame. You feel helpless and believe that others are responsible for their circumstances, make excuses, and exchange in blame shifting.
Exactly.
Right? That's a little martyr you having a pity party. So 3 is excuses. You make excuses for your behavior or lack of results. They rationalize their actions and convince themselves that their choices are justified.
Real
Right?
talk.
I was doing that yesterday when I hadn't posted in my journals, and I was like, "Oh, they're not perfect." Blah blah blah. Like
when I saw you sent it to me this morning, all I could do was laugh.
I was up all night, exactly. All night.
I'm like, how in the hell am I gonna talk about accountability when I was supposed to publish this book 5 months ago?
No, this isn't the book. The book is still in the editor.
I know.
These are all the ebooks and stuff, right? Because I was like, D.
Do you know how long I've been telling D, you need to push this stuff out here. You need to get your stuff on a platform. We're getting ready to turn this corner. We're getting ready to turn this corner. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get it, man. Yeah, I'm gonna come.
I had a come to Jesus moment last night. I was up until 3 a.m. I'm like, you know what? I gotta acknowledge this and own it. And so I went from hope, which is stage 4, seek to highlight the flaws and mistakes of others, deflect attention away from their own shortcomings by pointing out the failures and issues around me. And then I went to acknowledge reality. Individuals have to let go of magical thinking. They acknowledge their reality and the realistic of their circumstances. My stuff wasn't up there because I was stuck in perfectionism.
And this is how my brother and I won when we came to that cross in the road. The first thing he said to me, I'll never forget this. When he purchased that truck, I was still bedridden. He come into the house, opened my door. He said, I'm getting ready to go to Pennsylvania. I said, okay, what's up? For what? So he has this paperwork with him.
Yeah.
And the last thing he said to me before we walked out the door, everything's going to be all right. We're all we got. I didn't see him for 3 weeks. When he came back, everything was set up. Because we've always been in trucking. We've always been in the logistics business.
Right.
And he hadn't been in the logistics business for a minute. And, I'm in this condition, and my mother passing, Greg, our other brother passing. And the last thing he said to me was, everything's going to be all right. We all we got. And that was it for us. We had a conversation. He called me from where he was over in Pennsylvania, and we had a heart-to-heart conversation. And that was it. We took responsibility for the toxic we brought to the party.
Yeah, he did the last 3 steps. He owned it, found a solution, and made it happen.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he's not big on words. He's definitely not big on words. He's not big on the I love yous, but he's a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
But he's not big on that. But he showed through his actions, just like Kathy was saying, actions. It's an action. Or Keena said, it's an action word.
It is.
Yeah. It is.
Actions.
But I want
to feel good.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So you feel good and you hold yourself accountable and get things done that you need to get done.
Right. But as you were talking about the steps, I want to revisit number 2 and number 3, because I truly believe that people stay in that area, and they stay in that area by choice.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about that, Coach D, and why it is so important to move up the ladder when we're talking about accountability. But 2 and 3, that's where people are. It seems to me that they're comfortable there.
Yeah.
So they won't have to recognize who they may be or what they're contributing to the problem. What are your thoughts on that?
Self-blame is easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to blame yourself and then make excuses. So here's what self-blame looks like. It focuses on the negative aspects and shortcomings. Criticizing and blaming one excessively for failure and mistakes leads to a feeling of guilt, shame, and low self-esteem, hinders personal growth, doesn't allow you to move forward or overcome challenges. Right. It's very self-destructive, and it focuses on past mistakes. And it tends to overlook any external factors that may be occurring and focus solely on the individual themselves, right? Exactly. And it can lead to self-punishment or self-sabotaging behaviors. Right?
That's right. And this is where I found, even when I started coaching, this is where I found people self-destructing when they refuse to take accountability for their shit. Refuse, like completely refuse. They go into self-destruction mode. Right. How I know? Because I was one of those people that did it. Straight self-destruction. When I tell you self-destruction, straight self-destruction. Before D helped me and assist me walking through that path, I was on Kettle One and Cranberry every single night. Self-destructing. Yep. Self-destructing. So we have to hold ourselves accountable first, man.
So it could be self-destructive in a way where you're a people pleaser. Where you don't respect your own boundaries. Where you will, like, I know somebody, if she has I call him a hobo boyfriend, because he don't got nothing. She pays us everything, right? He lives with his mama. But she will drop everything for this man. I'm like, girl, we have talked about this and talked about, what are you doing? Why are you driving 3 hours to pick his ass up when he could have took a bus? Oh, well, you know, I'm like, no. He needs to be accountable for his actions. He's 35 years old. He should have a car.
Ooh. Let's get to the comments real quick.
Martine says, I've always included your tag when I've shared your quotes, Trent. I have some from years ago.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I've been knowing Martine so long, I don't even remember where I met her. She's from Detroit. I don't know if it was at an event or anything, but she's been authentically supporting me for well over 15 years. Yeah. Well over. Good stuff. I appreciate you, my daughter.
He says, I'm over compliance and accountability for a school network. Can you imagine the things I've observed? It's like, if I can get away with it, it will. I will. No expectations. Listen, right. I'm just watching on the news where teachers are doing nonsense and all this stuff. Here's the thing: accountability affects everybody in your circle and anybody that you interact with.
I'm glad you said that. What does that look like?
Okay, for example, as your teachers, Xavier was late for school in kindergarten because I was late getting my shit together in the morning. So the teacher put him down as tardy. Right. And I'm like, how are you going to punish him when I'm the one driving him? And I looked at the principal. I'm like, are you going to put me in detention? Because he can't drive. He's 5. Right. And he's like, you know what? You are the only parent who's ever questioned a tardy on a kid. I'm like, you know what? I understand that you have to be responsible for their attendance and everything. But if it's a tardy and they're of kindergarten age, sometimes you have to go talk to the parent and excuse the child because they're not responsible for getting in their car and driving anywhere.
Makes sense.
Right. So and I love my teachers. I love the administrators, but sometimes there's some nonsense that goes on in schools where I got to go, is this the best way to do things?
Right.
And I'm a mama bear because you know what? If you're doing stuff that's weird and there's no accountability and my baby's in that room, you're going to hear about it.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I expect you to be as accountable as I expect him. And he's a kid.
Absolutely. Hey, we appreciate you guys with the engagement tonight. Let's get back to Keena real quick.
Accountability without oh my God. Accountability without liability. Thank you. Can't read today. Go down.
And my favorite
we met at Fishbones. Downtown Detroit is like a club. How we all be there just about every weekend. I think talking about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, effective communication is essential. Listen, you don't have anything if you don't have communication.
That's right.
You don't have anything because you have to be able to communicate effectively so that people understand your needs and wants and desires.
Mm-hmm.
One more time. Appreciate the engagement, guys.
Oh, you have to
Yes.
communicate effectively so people understand your wants and desires.
Mhm.
Right?
That's correct.
Like, I love my teachers. Xavier has dysgraphia, so he has issues writing. Right? Here's the problem. Xavier needs to fail in order to get an IEP here in Maryland. Xavier's a straight A student. Right? Being smart and having a writing disability are two different things. And luckily, his school understands that. So all the teachers understand that they can read his writing without issues. The next school, they may not be as understanding, so we'll have to work with it. But
Right.
we effectively communicate, and I talk to each of the teachers, show them his work over the years at the beginning of the year, say, this is what's going on. If you need or have any questions, I live a mile away. I can be here in 4.5 minutes.
Exactly.
And they're
So,
like,
tell
okay.
the folks the steps to moving away from a person who you know you're not going to get the apology from, who you know is not going to accept accountability for their infraction or whatever they did.
Okay, so the first thing I recommend,
for me,
yeah,
I would actually, give you guys the advice of simply just walk away, move away from.
yeah, just gray rock them and go no contact. So gray, and before anybody asks what gray rock is, so you'll have people who are very toxic, very manipulative. So
Right.
they'll write out long. Like I had a friend who every time she did somebody wrong, she would pray for them, like the person she harmed, not herself, and never took any accountability. And
Right.
then we all, as a friend, just said every time she sends one of these, just say amen, and that's it. And eventually, she was like, "Well, nobody's responding, and they don't get that feedback that they need, so they
Right.
just eventually drop off." Yeah,
Mhm.
it's okay to walk away from toxic people.
Yeah.
Shout out to Keena, man, my great friend. She's got that thread going in here. Shout out to Keena, man, wonderful
Yeah,
friend. I've been knowing Keena for since we were kids. So
yeah. She said,
good to
"But
see
you,"
your beautiful face, lady.
He says, "But you must have reasonable consequences and
Consequences.
set clear expectations." Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. Mhm.
Martine said.
Y'all
Yep.
are not playing tonight. Martine says, "Right. I feel terrible when I'm the reason that things don't go smoothly. One time, my tire blew. My children cried, thinking that they were going to make it to their school trip. I drove on that rim on time.
Oh wow.
Do not drive on the rim. That is so dangerous. None of you could have made it.
That's
Right?
right. That's
We
right.
want to be safe, right? So here's the thing: you could leave that car on the side of the road, grab a cab or an Uber, and get there on time. But we
Absolutely.
want to make sure that when we set expectations, we're setting reasonable expectations,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
So reasonable is not you're dead broke today and you're going to be driving a Porsche in 30 days.
That's right.
Right? That's not a reasonable expectation if you have not set any goals and steps to get there.
Exactly.
Right? So you need to have goals, steps in order to get to those and set those
Just like
expectations.
when I open the podcast up,
Mhm.
holding yourself accountable, making amends with yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to, or any accountability that you actually say, hey, yeah, Kathy, yeah, D, I did that.
Yeah.
But if I don't hold
Mhm.
myself accountable, that's gonna fall on deaf ears because
With
it's not
Mhm.
authentic. I'm not being honest
Mhm.
with you.
yeah. And
Mhm.
Miss Kathy said exactly what you need to do is when you're holding yourself accountable, the easy way is a journal
Yeah.
and start writing it out. And
Mhm.
figuring out what those steps that you did and what you were doing and why you were doing it, so you don't repeat that same behavior.
Mhm.
I truly believe in self-checking yourself. That way,
Yes.
nobody else will do it for you.
Mhm.
Nobody will actually walk
Right.
up to you and check you for anything.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Hold yourself
Mhm.
accountable. That's
But
why.
if they,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, but if they do, then that's okay
That's
because you
okay.
you
It's
already know.
Yeah.
exactly. It's totally fine. But for me,
Mhm.
right, even if I don't acknowledge it to myself, if I'm approached with it, yeah, that's me. I did that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really did.
And nothing will throw somebody trying to attack you off quicker than, you know
Yeah.
what, you're right, I messed up. And
Yeah.
they'll take all the wind right out of the sails if they're the type who will try to take your whatever you've done and not been accounted for in the past and throw it at you.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you know what? Self accountability is a mother
Yeah.
when it comes to toxic people.
It's so funny when you talk about that. When I finished both of those books, the memoir, the Four Horsemen memoir, and the chapter the Delta, you know, the chapter Delta was about the ex-wife and all that stuff, and they would approach her. These Deltas would ask her, "Hey, your ex-husband wrote a book," and she and I are so cool to her. It's like, she said, "Yeah." Say, but that's what it is. Whatever he said, that's what it is.
Mhm.
This is it. We had a conversation before I published. I sent her the first step of it, even before it got edited. I sent it to her. I was like, read it over. Let me know if you're good. She's like, no, I'm good. I don't have to.
You're better than me. I don't share any of that.
So I mean, it is what it is, man. We became very transparent and
Yeah.
great friends. We co-parent.
Mm-hmm.
Now Kennedy's in college, whatever. But great relationship, man. But we both have to take responsibility
Mm-hmm.
that we brought to the party in the relationship.
Yeah.
Once we did that, we were good. That's where the reward is. That Kennedy could see us functioning in a very stable co-parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that accountability. I'm sorry, sir. You're telling me I'm the reason you fell in that other woman's private area?
No. No. Oh, you talking about your situation?
Yeah. I'm like, what?
I'm about to say, wait a minute. I didn't cheat on this girl.
No.
You're talking about your situation.
We're talking about account. Yeah. So
Right.
you know what? And here's the thing. Kina said it. I had to look in the mirror, be the model I expect from teachers and administrators, and realize that no, everyone does not have the same work or personal ethic.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
Oh yeah, they're like I get it at work all the time that I schedule my entire day from
Right.
day in to day out, and we have like an activity report that they can pull up. Right? I work remotely. They know everything you're doing, and like
Absolutely.
I had to laugh. My team leader pulled up the activity report, and my name wasn't on it. I'm like, girl, am I not on the team anymore? She's like, oh no, you're just too down low on the non-activity report that your name doesn't show up with our team. I was like, oh, okay.
I got to step in here before I forget this thought. You guys know how to condition me. But, folks, this is how the conversation, this gumbo talk is so authentic. You're talking to a trauma coach who says she hasn't made it there yet. That's some honesty for your ass. So, it's transparency. That's transparency, man.
I tell people all the time.
No other place.
Yeah, if you have a coach that acts like they're perfect, they're lying.
They're lying.
We all got stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody, if somebody is acting like they're perfect and holy now, walk away because they're not.
You know what's so funny? As I was writing this thing up for the week, I thought about this transparent lane as far as coaching, right?
Mhm.
I started in this lane before they were calling podcasts. We were broadcasting. Kathy was around. And guys that I see today, I didn't see those guys in that lane. I ran that lane. I owned that lane because I was so transparent. This is why these people will follow me to Jamaica. This is why these people will follow me to the Bahamas every single year.
Yeah.
I own that lane. But today, most of those guys are lying. Most of those guys, they will not stand there and like they could fact check me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about my ex-wife and they could fact check me.
Right.
She's telling her Delta friends, nah, that's exactly whatever you said. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened. But you have to be continuously transparent, man, when you want to be, hold yourself accountable and take accountability from folks and the wrong that I caused and whatever. You have to be honest with yourself to be honest with others.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, there is a lot. The coaching industry is not regulated.
Not at all.
There's a lot of people who have signs up that should not have signs up.
Exactly. It should.
Yeah.
I didn't even renew my license. I didn't do any of that stuff, because that's why I brought Coach D along, because I have no more desire to do that.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. I've done it.
I'm always taking classes, getting updated on new things that are going on and different aspects of coaching, because it's what I love, helping people. Right?
Exactly.
Do I make a lot of money out of it? No, not really. Could I make more? Yeah, if I got my shit together and posted my stuff like I'm supposed to.
Thank you.
Right.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it.
It's all about accountability. Yes, I know.
Yes.
So this is why Coach D is on the platform, because I'm not going to renew those license. I'm not going to do it. I just enjoy encouraging people and motivating people. I'm going to a different phase of my life as far as the medical fitness and helping people with different abilities. So I have no desire to talk about relationships. I do that on this platform because it's fun for me. But it's my real passion now is medical fitness, helping people with different abilities.
And I'm all about trauma.
Coach D could do the trauma coaching, all that stuff, and I just grab the popcorn.
Yeah. But here's the thing, conversations are so interesting when you have different mindsets and different views. It gets really boring really quick when everybody agrees about everything.
That's right.
And God knows me and you don't agree about everything. Everybody knows it. I think sometimes they watch purely to see us argue.
Let's reward these folks by engaged. I mean, they got this thread popping. Let's see.
Oh, let me get back. Because Keena and Martine are all right. Where are we at?
Let's get Martine.
Martine says, I can't those who like to bring up past mistakes and mishaps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I need you to tell me how to look accountable. Assumptions are made that I don't work, but I hold everyone up. And when the bus is rolling, believe me, I'm the first one under it. Oh yeah. Here's the thing. I don't worry about getting thrown on the bus. Don't worry about it at all, because I know what I do and what I don't do. Right? The ones throwing
we call that standing 10 toes down in what you believe in. So
that's right, stand 10 toes down.
If they're running that bus, you make sure you're standing up and you're gonna block it. Stand 10 toes down. I truly believe I stand on that. Whatever I believe in, I stand on it. With a limp and all. I play no game.
And what happens is people stop trying to throw you under the bus because they know that your moral ethics and work do not allow it. Right?
That's right.
To set firm boundaries, and this is what's going to happen.
Let's get to Keena's last comment, then get to Marcus real quick.
Keena says, I just started observing and ceasing every stakeholder. I've been silent too long. Listen, ma'am, you have to do the per my last email or per our last conversation.
Exactly.
And if you need to, tag that last email and hold them accountable.
Yeah, hold them accountable. You do.
Yeah.
Let's say Marcus. Let's bring Marcus in real quick.
Oh, 1 second, I lost it. Most people are just out for clout and shine. They're not really not there to release anybody from any type of horrible state of mind.
Absolutely.
Sir, you said a whole message right there. Yeah, because you go on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook and look at some of the people who are talking, and there are a lot of fantastic people out there, but sometimes they'll get lost in the nonsense because they don't have the views.
I laugh at these folks, and we'll hover around these guys for the last 10 minutes here because I see the comments there. But I laugh at these folks when I see these people, these coaches, right? You know, when you've done something for so many years, you know if they're authentic or not.
Right.
Like some of these coaches I've seen on huge platforms, because I used to be a part of those huge platforms. I'm like, man, this nigga done stole my shit. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm like, that dude know that's not his stuff. And I can call him on it. Because everything I do is copyrighted. That's where I come from. That's my background. But a lot of people, Marcus, you're absolutely correct. They're not authentic. They just want to shine.
They want to shine, yeah.
Shine with my pen, but they put their face on it.
Yeah, but that doesn't last long. That does not last long. When you are moving in that fashion, it does not last long. So, you know, authenticity is there. So people will realize it, you know.
Let's finish these comments off and then we'll gumbo talk the rest.
Okay. Martine said, pardon my typos.
Good, Martine.
I like that stand on business with a limp and oil. Me too. Thank you. Yep. Keena says, yes, per. Yep. Listen, those professionally reworded emails where you want to say, listen, hey girl, you need to stop. You gotta. There's a girl on TikTok who actually does that. It's hilarious. She gives you examples of professionally worded emails. Martine says, can the protect my energy become a thing that's toxic, as in blocking you from moving forward in life? Yes, it can.
But here's the thing for me,
people use it as manipulate. People can be manipulative with it.
Right.
Here's the thing. I'm so far into my zen. I don't even use situations like that. I just leave people where they are. People I've had conflict with over the years. People always ask me, damn, I thought you're not even in business with them anymore. Nah, because I want them to see this W. I'm so unbothered with stuff like that. They slander my name, my character, everything. Nah, you're gonna see this W. Because you know what I'm made of. You know what I'm built of. You know exactly how I'm built. So I'm standing on it, period.
Here's what I always say. If somebody's saying it, they're not doing it.
Boom.
Right? Because if you're doing it, you don't need to say it because people already know.
That's it. That's it. That's it. If we get so caught up in today's climate, trying to prove a point to somebody, I don't have shit to prove to nobody. Y'all know what I do. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know what I've done. Y'all know who I've helped.
Yeah.
So I'm not about to sit and tongue wrestle. We're not about to do that.
Yeah. That's why I have very strong boundaries, and people question my qualifications. I'm like, you know what? I have had conversations with people you would die to talk to.
Exactly.
Because when it comes down to it, it's all about who you are as a person and your authenticity and your honesty.
Matters, man. That's
like
all
there's people now who's like, oh, Coach D didn't do her stuff. She's not being accountable. I'm like, you know what? Because Coach D said she didn't do her stuff. Otherwise, you would never know.
That's just like when I talked about it in the beginning of the show, when my brother, before we went to Pennsylvania to grab the new truck, right? He was so authentic and honest about it. And I'm looking at him like, can't believe this. You're telling me this. But he was so real about it, I couldn't help but say, okay. Because he was like, hey, this is what it is. I got you. Everything gonna be all right. He took on his role in that situation.
Yeah.
Boy, did he take it on. You know what I'm saying? Boy, did he take it on. And I had no other choice but to roll with the punches. Because he was so open with it.
Yeah.
As we call it, he and I call it. He was G with it. He was just straight G with it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Listen, it's where is it? Oh, I'm going back. Marcus says, if I fake it long enough, I can have a morning radio show. Sir, you don't.
Hey, Marcus, no, you don't, because if you want one, come holler at me. We got you.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Martine says, yeah, no need to make announcements. That's awesome. That's simple. Yeah, that's to the saying, not doing. And Keenan says, yes, people quote their resumes all day, not interested. What can you do to improve the lives of the students you support? Yeah.
Exactly.
And Marcus says, I don't know how to tell you I'm real if I am. Yeah. Here's the thing. You don't have to tell people can see it. People can see when you're authentic and you're trustworthy and you're being your unapologetic self. Right? If you're owning your nonsense, people will see it because you're not worried of saying, listen, I'm being a fool right now. And I didn't do this and this.
To piggyback off of that, what you're saying, 9 times out of 10, if they're not accepting your authenticity, if they're not accepting your straight talk, no chaser, there's still work to be done with them. They have to address it within themselves.
That is true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. If I can't take D giving me straight talk, like D and I was in a relationship when she's telling me about, she knew what my ex-wife did to me, but she was like, so she held me accountable. She was like, point the finger at her. So she took the emotion. I'm like, well, damn, maybe I'm not doing something right in this relationship. She's not right with the team. So, you know what I'm saying? So, but she held me accountable, man. She held me accountable. And that's what got me on the right path.
Listen, I've learned the hard way.
You have to take criticism and everything about it. To be honest with you, you know what? She was right. I got some shit with me.
Listen, I have learned the hard way. The only team I ride with is Team D.
That's what I'm
Team
talking
D knows exactly where Team D is headed.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Martine says,
so we're gonna get some business out here real quick. I want to get to everything that you've done today, and I know you actually working overtime because you was like, I know him well. I know he's gonna bring it up at some point during the show if something's not ready on the book side, and so I know you work. I know you pushed it through, and you did a wonderful job. And I want to give you your flowers for that, man, because you do this with passion.
Yeah.
When you sent it to me and I started reading through it, I'm like, this is some very impressive work, man. This is some good stuff. Healthy boundaries.
Listen, I'll warn you though, it's not going to be easy work. So on my website, I posted Inner Child Healing. Comes with an Inner Child ebook, a writing prompt journal, and a shadow journal. That's all one package. Then I have the shadow journal by itself, and then I have the boundaries ebook and workbook. And
Exactly.
I'm going to post a accountability journal and a self-care guide tonight too.
Exactly. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Shannon had over at Tabs, Shannon's business Tabs, Edible Creation. She had a pop-up shop this past week. It went well. Martine showed up, all that. So good stuff, man. Shout out to Tabs, man. Shout out to Tabs. I think she has another one. And actually, she'll be selling some very good goodies over at the Shannon shop over in I think it's Union City, I believe. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, Martine, if I have that wrong. The name of the place there, Union City. So she'll be doing some edibles and stuff like that for a company that asked her to come in and bring her product. So congratulations to Shannon and Tabs for it not doing the work and entrepreneurship. So good stuff, man. Real good stuff.
Some quick question. Marcus says a lot of people would rather be living in their lie than help to face their truth. Oh, sir, you don't even know. Martine says I went to the pop-up. Yes, that's Union City.
Gotcha, good stuff.
Yeah.
So in Union City, she did a great job over there, and she sold some things out over there. And the person who owns the smoke shop, and how ironic that is, it's called Shannon's Smoke Shop. It's someone else's smoke shop, but
Right.
Shannon's on it. So that was meant to be. And they asked her to bring the product in, and they're gonna be selling her product in the store. So good stuff, man.
Nice.
That's edible creation. Good stuff.
That's great. What do you got going on, Miss Kathy?
Well, I tell you, lots of things. I'm in school for my master's. It's my goal to now coach educators. So
Nice.
I'll be finishing that up next May. And of course, I love radio. So I'm on The Vibe, which is through Audiolist.com. And their on air person, 12 midnight to 4 a.m. And then, of course, during the day, teaching my babies.
You know, and I gotta give
I love that.
I gotta give Kathy her kudos as well, man, because I'm real random. Like you guys know me very well. You know I'm random. So I get a call. Shannon's under the weather. I was like, okay, cool. Hope all is well. See you next week. So I called Kathy. I was like, yo, I'm sitting in for a minute. Shannon's gonna be out tonight. Without a question, I got you. I was like, cool. But that goes to show that I have great friendships, great relationships with all these wonderful people who I could call at the drop of a dime. And to be honest with you, she had no idea what the topic was. No idea.
Teachers are great at accountability, though.
Yeah.
There it
We
is.
have
I love my teachers.
So I appreciate that. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Thank you for sitting the chance for tonight. Really
You're
appreciate that,
welcome.
man. So this accountability was like I said, Shannon and I did this on the group page where she wanted another topic. These folks had something totally different in mind. So they voted on it. 70% of the group voted on it, and we really appreciate that. And actually, I ran the numbers, man. Guys, I don't know. Besides Marcus, I see a couple of guys, Black Lightning Truck, and they're there, and everybody. But I looked at some analytics. 100% women on here weekly, and sometimes streaming on Apple, Spotify, Taylor Kennedy TV, and they're there, man. They really are supporting, and this is why I've surrounded myself around women, not because I'm a playboy or whatever, but women hold me up. They truly hold me up. When I saw those numbers, I was very proud of that. And they come from California, Canada, the Netherlands, of course. And it was great to see, man. Really appreciate you guys' support, Coach D and I, along with Shannon. We really appreciate that. The conversation's back, man, to where Kathy knows us from. So good stuff. So it's back, and we really appreciate that. To all the viewers on Instagram, we truly appreciate you guys as well. And as well as YouTube. So good stuff. Coach D, you got the closing remarks here? We're on 8 o'clock.
I'm just going to read the last couple of remarks. Kina says, awesome educator. We need great educators to come to Louisiana. So conversation tonight and ask where Mark is. I don't know. Mark didn't want to be a part of the accountability conversation, I guess.
The shade.
Yeah, that was shade. So here's my lesson for tonight. You want to get accountable. There's 4 steps. Acknowledge, own it, find a solution, make it happen. Right? AOF man. Acknowledge, own it, find a solution, make it happen. Those are 4 things you need to do.
Exactly. My point is set the bar, raise the goal, and get active.
Yep.
Set the bar, raise the goal, get active. When you set the bar, raise it.
Mhm.
By raising that bar, you're holding that other person behind you accountable
That's
for going
right.
further.
Mhm.
So set the goal, raise the bar, and get active. Kathy?
I love it. I mean, same thing that I tell my kids. Accountability is not hard. You make it hard when you cannot look at yourself in the mirror and say, what role did I play?
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So we
Love it.
truly appreciate you guys here on the Taylor Kennedy Media Network. Again, we appreciate Black Lightning Trucking for the sponsorship for tonight's podcast. Truly appreciate that. BlackLightningTrucking.com is the spot. Just hit the email, contact us at Black Lightning Trucking. We'll get those logistical needs ahead and on schedule every single time. So good stuff, man. Good stuff with lightning fast delivery. So, Coach D, you want to close us out?
You know what? If you can't look yourself in the mirror, nobody else can either.
That's true.
Right? Just be nobody will ever blame you for being your authentic, transparent, unapologetic self. Like if you have quirks and you're weird, be quirky, be weird. Just be you, because you're one of a kind.
With that said, thank you for tonight. You guys be epic.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.